It's the most wonderful time of the year for wrestling fans. No, not Christmas, you stupid idiot. January, because those of us in the know are well aware that January doesn't just mean Royal Rumble time. It's also time for the biggest wrestling show outside of WWE, Wrestle Kingdom 12. And ahead of Ireland's first ever Wrestle Kingdom party in Buskers on the Ball next week, for newer fans who want to jump on the bandwagon, here's a Blaggers guide with everything you need to know to sound like a super cool New Japan fan. What is New Japan and what happened to Old Japan? I assure you, Old Japan is alive and well and actually currently embodied on Njpw's product in the body and spirit of one Yuji Nagata. New Japan was a wrestling promotion formed by Antonio Inoki in 1972. Inoki is best known as the guy involved in that terrible but legendary mixed martial arts farce against Muhammad Ali way back. Long story short, Japanese wrestling has spent decades with different promotions playing top dog for a while, but since Inoki left New Japan in 2005 amid scandal and near bankruptcy, handing over the booking reins to veteran tag team wrestler Gato, who rebuilt the promotion around Hiroshi Tanahashi, who's basically Japanese John Cena, WWE's Shinsuke Nakamura, and Kazuchika Okada, they have become the undisputed #1 promotion in Japan and second only to WWE in the world. The promotion has captured world audiences' imaginations through successfully combining the talents of international names like Fergal, Finn Balor, Devitt, AJ Styles, and Kenny Omega, and Japanese draws like Tanahashi, Okada, and Tetsuya Naito. More on them soon. To provide a product that focuses on athleticism, competition, and constantly focused on giving fans bang for their buck with classic matches. Why would I watch New Japan when I can already barely keep up with WWE? Because you're a grown-ass man or woman, and questions such as, will Jason Jordan ever get an opportunity off his fake dad? Just don't do it for you as much as they used to. New Japan is pro wrestling for adults, built around meaningful title matches with strong characters who can back it up between the ropes. Plus, these days, you can't even avoid New Japan while watching WWE, with them becoming the go-to place for talent raids and constantly blowing up Twitter with sensational matches. So you can actually know what everyone else is talking about for once. And what is a Wrestle Kingdom? Who are the king and queen of this kingdom? Is it magical? It's a wrestling event. Okada and Tanahashi are probably dual kings. It's 2017 after all. Though if I had to name a queen, Yujiro Takahashi's ring girl would probably be up there. And yes, it's pretty fucking magical. Wrestle Kingdom is New Japan's equivalent of WrestleMania, formalizing the Japanese wrestling tradition of hosting a big show every January 4th in the legendary Tokyo Dome venue. Over the years, the Tokyo Dome extravaganza has evolved to have special WrestleMania-style entrances, special guest stars such as Chris Jericho this year, and the pick of the crop for Match of the Year awards at the end of every single year. It's the best way to start the pro wrestling calendar and instantly wakes you out of your Christmas slumber just as WWE turns the corner into their biggest period of the calendar. What are the main differences between NJPW and WWE? First off, as we spoke about, New Japan is pro wrestling for adult audiences. It is presented and accepted in the guise of a legitimate sport in Japan about talented grown men with adult priorities like earning money and being the best, who act in a realistic but compelling way. On shows like Wrestle Kingdom, almost all matches are being contested for title belts and not silly grudges like, why did you accidentally pour coffee over Kane, Chris? He's a burn victim, you asshole. Everything on the show, even spots that seem small and inconsequential, matters, and grudges and storylines can go on for years, like in real life, as opposed to people forgetting about their issues the day after a pay-per-view and just moving on. Wrestlers are grouped together by various stables with a set of individual characteristics and values. For example, the Bullet Club are the cocky NWO-like stable filled with arrogant non-Japanese heels. Suzuki Gun are anarchists who constantly run in during matches to create havoc and destroy opponents. LIJ are the cool, rebellious gang of misfits modernizing New Japan. Chaos are the fighting spirit babyface stable filled with great athletes who never give up. In practice, these stables function more like MMA camps than traditional pro wrestling stables, in that members would corner each other or team up in multi-man matches. Oh, the multi-man matches. Something that can confuse or put off new fans. Since New Japan tour so much and their in-ring style is so rough on people's bodies, most shows will begin with a series of 4, 6, or 8-man tag team matches matches between various stables. These are entertaining but meaningless spot fests to the untrained eye, though the more you watch, the more you start to notice the little intricate stories being told during each bout and how they all fit into the bigger picture. Unlike WWE, New Japan tend to order their cards from least to most important matches, so if you're only interested in the big singles matches, you can generally skip the first couple of hours of any show and jump in late without missing too much. There are fewer gimmick matches in New Japan. The majority of title matches are one-on-one, just straight up wrestling matches, though disqualifications and countouts are a rarity, as referees, namely Red Shoes, the NJPW head ref, named because he wears red shoes, duh, ease up on the rules and countouts go on for 20 rather than 10 seconds. Though chances are you're going to forget about that and you're going to shit your brick the first time a referee counts to 10 at Wrestle Kingdom. The in-ring style can be jarring to newcomers, as it appears that matches are mere spot fests with move after move. Well, this isn't necessarily untrue, it's not wholly accurate either. Fighting spirit and strong style are major elements of New Japan that people may not be used to watching American wrestling, with the best wrestlers tending to be the ones who can absorb the most punishment and come back fighting. So you'll see wrestlers simply stand up or kick out at one following big moves, when in actuality they are telling a very particular story that may need to be explained to someone who doesn't follow along until you get to know each competitor. So let's talk about those competitors and the matches you need to know. The main event for the IWGP Heavyweight Championship, Tetsuya Naito challenges Kazuchika Okada. Yes, the belt is called the IWGP and not NJPW heavyweight title. There are reasons which you can look up if you like, but kinda like how the main OTT belt is called the NLW belt, just go with it and you'll be fine. Okada is a name you've definitely heard over the past 12 months, following his famous 6-star trilogy against Kenny Omega. He's in the middle of a legendary run alongside the likes of 1989 Ric Flair, 1995 Shawn Michaels, or The Rock in 2000, wrestling constant classics and asserting himself as the best wrestler on the planet today. And on January 4th, he will officially be the longest reigning ever IWGP heavyweight champion. His opponent, Tetsuya Naito, is the leader of LIJ and a man driven by bitterness at never being recognized as the top guy. Imagine Finn Balor or Shinsuke Nakamura incorporated what fans said about WWE mistreating them into their character, and you've got Naito. Though he wears a suit to the ring, Naito is famously cool and laid back, only going to 10 when he really needs to, and arguably the best there is when he does. His edge comes from the last time he faced Okada at Wrestle Kingdom 8, when, despite the match being for the main title belt, fans were apathetic towards Naito and voted to have Hiroshi Tanahashi and Shinsuke Nakamura for the Intercontinental title in the main event instead. He has spent the 4 years since with a chip on his shoulder, stopping caring about what the fans think, believing that he never gets his due, and it has played into his storyline with Okada mocking him, saying that people are saying it's the co-main event again with Jericho versus Omega only because Naito's in it. However, it might finally be Naito's chance to become the face of NJPW, as he has been getting cheered since winning the G1 Climax tournament to earn this title shot in August, with Okada adopting his more badass, cocky heel character in turn. These two have wrestled several really good bouts, however, you always sense that they have a classic in them that we haven't seen yet. Now is the time. But the question is if now is the time Naito finally gets his due, or if Okada's greatest modern title reign will continue. In the co-main event, Chris Jericho fights for Kenny Omega's US Championship. It is, put simply, one of the most anticipated matches in New Japan history, as Jericho wrestles his first match outside of WWE in nearly 20 years to take on the man of the moment, Kenny Omega. Omega has become the most successful ever gaijin, that's Japanese for "farting are taking all our jobs," in history, in 2016 becoming the first non-Japanese wrestler to win the G1 Climax and headline last year's Wrestle Kingdom, and he was rewarded as such by being crowned New Japan's first ever US champion in their tour of South Beach last summer. He is the face of their US expansion, and that has been amplified by Chris Jericho's shock jump from WWE to face him here. The feud started as a work shoot on Twitter that even saw Jericho block the Low Blows Twitter account randomly, with digs back and forth about Jericho being a bigger star than anyone in New Japan. Since then, Jericho has made shock appearances on New Japan shows twice, first to announce the Alpha vs Omega match at Wrestle Kingdom, then to beat Omega bloody, before Omega got his revenge at a press conference assault of Y2J. It's a typical old school feud, now with the added no DQ wrinkle added in. And the big question is, we know Omega pulls it out of the bag with classic matches whenever he's called upon, but can 47-year-old Jericho still go now that he doesn't have the WWE shackles on? What else do I need to know about? Give me tweet-long deets of the big matches. Challenge accepted. Hiroshi Tanahashi, again Japanese John Cena, long story short, defends his Intercontinental title against Switchblade Jay White, a young wrestler just back from an excursion with Ring of Honor, debuting a new heel persona. This would be a huge win for the relative unknown quantity of White against one of the biggest stars of all time in Japan. And even though Tanahashi isn't in the main event anymore, he is still one of the most protected wrestlers on the roster and rarely ever loses, much less at Wrestle Kingdom. Marty Scurll defends his junior heavyweight title in a 4-way against Will Ospreay, Kushida and Hiromu Takahashi. All of these four have plenty of history and classic matches, but all you really need to know heading into this match is there'll be loads of flips, it'll be class, and Takahashi has a pet fluffy cat named Daryl. Cody Not Rhodes takes on actual nutcase Kota Ibushi in a match that was supposed to be for the ROH title, but isn't now that Cody lost that belt and has blonde hair. Once again, Ibushi is an insane person and does insane things. This is the biggest show he'll likely wrestle on this year. You need to see this match. Speaking of nutcases, another insane person, Minoru Suzuki, who despite looking like this, enters to iconic love song Kazi ni Nare despite looking like he's never loved someone who was actually alive at the time. Takes on tough GAA dad wrestler Hiroki Goto in a hair versus hair match for the never openweight title. Not much storyline here, it's just gonna be fun. Plus, there will be tag matches. Loads of fucking tag matches. The Young Bucks will be there, and New Japan always start the show with a Rumble match featuring unannounced wrestlers. Last year, Billy Gunn showed up. It's like the Royal Rumble with surprise entrants you never knew you wanted. How can I watch New Japan? The easiest way by far is by subscribing to NJPW World at what works out about €8 per month. However, for a newcomer, that's like telling you to subscribe to Netflix without being sure if you're that into TV and movies. So let's make it simple. Come to Buskers on the Ball on January 4th. Hang out with Japanese wrestling fans old and new, see if it's for you, then go from there. NJPW World doesn't pump out content at the rate of WWE Network, but when it does, it's worth every penny. Like during the summer Best of Super Juniors and G1 Climax tournaments, which feature near daily shows with matches causing constant nerdgasms everywhere. Most big shows also feature English commentary from Kevin Don't Call Me Hermie Kelly of WWF Attitude Era fame and Don Callis aka Cyrus the Virus from ECW. You can also watch the shows on your TV easily via Chromecast or HDMI link up. The best part about New Japan for me though is that due to the time differences, most big shows take place on a life-friendly Sunday morning, so you can watch a 6-star match while you have a fry-up. Nothing cures a hangover like seeing Japanese men punch each other as hard as they can in the face. Trust me. Also, for added context, Twitter accounts like @MrLariato and Chris Charlton @ReasonJP are essential for translating promos and giving the action you may have missed. And how do I follow New Japan? Do they have a weekly show like Raw? Not really, though they do have a weekly show in America which shows matches on a tape delay on their Access TV channel, but we don't get that over here. New Japan tour around Japan and will be returning to the US in April, but as far as TV goes, they run typically monthly with the aforementioned Best of Super Juniors and G1 Climax tournaments running almost daily during the summer. They run a Raw after WrestleMania show called New Year's Dash the day after Wrestle Kingdom to set up new feuds, before running 2 new beginning shows formalizing said feuds. The New Japan Cup mini tournament follows in March with their second batch of US shows due in April. They may run further shows in the US after this, though that's yet to be announced. Best of Super Juniors begins in May. Their equivalent of SummerSlam, Dominion, takes place in June. The G1 Climax setting up a new contender for next year's Wrestle Kingdom. It takes place in July and August. Then a series of shows with Kings of Pro Wrestling being the most celebrated. Over the autumn set up the rest of the Wrestle Kingdom card before closing out the year with the World Tag League Tag Team Tournament. Your best bet is not to try memorize all of this now. Just follow us on social media and we'll keep you posted on whatever you need to know. Then keep up with updates on the Twitter accounts provided and whatever else you come across that covers what you need. Basically, it's like an entire new world of wrestling to get to learn, and once you get hooked, it's like that amazing time as a kid learning about wrestling and all of the history involved all over again. But here's the thing, before you take all that in, your first step is simple. January 4th from 5 p.m. For the price of a pint, head to Buskers on the Ball in Temple Bar and watch Wrestle Kingdom 12 in full. No need to get a day off work or wake up at crazy times to watch it live. Watch it around other wrestling fans who can fill you in on all you need to know as it happens, with pints and pizza on the cheap too. English commentary is going to be on show there as well, and there's enough time at the end that you can even get last bus home. We'll see you there. Well, I won't. I'm going to be in Tokyo Dome, but I'll wave if the camera's on me. Enjoy Wrestle Kingdom, guys. This has been Rick Nash for Low Blows.